Rakesh, I think we have a quorum now. We can get started and,
Yes,
proceed
we
as
can start.
participants start joining
I'll
in.
admit them.
Sure. So, hi, everybody. Welcome to this third session. This is the final one on advancing your AI career. As usual, I'd like to start with a teaser or a puzzle. So the puzzle is as follows. It's the AI fraud detection dilemma, right? A bank uses an AI system to detect fraudulent transactions. The bank's data shows that the prevalence of fraudulent transactions is only 1 in 1,000 transactions, right? Then we have discussed during the last class about the confusion metrics, the true positive and the false positive rates, right? So true positive, to recap, is out of all the actual fraudulent transactions, how many is the AI system predicting correctly, right? In this case, it is 99%. False positive is the remaining 1%, which is what is the percentage that the AI system flags incorrectly, right? So given these three data points, the puzzle that we are going to solve is a transaction is flagged as potentially fraudulent by the AI system. So the AI system is coming to the bank, the person, the manager or the senior leader, and then says, this transaction I see as potentially fraudulent, right? So it's tested as positive, it's potentially fraudulent. What is the probability that the transaction is actually fraudulent, right? I will give you guys 2 minutes, right? 2 minutes by my watch, it is 16:03 now. By 4-5 p.m., I will have you guys respond on the chat window in terms of the answer. We would need the probability that the transaction is actually fraudulent, right? And as we go along solving the problem, please feel free to key in your approach also in the window. We have spoken about this algorithm also during the last session when we were discussing, the artificial neural networks, recurrent neural networks, etc. So this is one of the algorithms that is used. If you get the final answer, well and good, I'd be happy. But the intermediate steps also feel free to punch into the chat window. Can someone start with the correct algorithm we have to use in this case? What is it called? Let me call it a theorem rather than an algorithm. What is the theorem that we use to solve this? And this theorem is something that all of you would have learned in your third semester in the math course. So I think I have given enough hints. Excellent answer by Kaustubh. It's Bayes' theorem. Okay. So you can use the Bayes' theorem Either you can punch in the answer, Kaustubh, or you can proceed on the chat window and identify the steps. That would also be fine. So what does Bayes' theorem say? Probability of A given B is equal to probability of B given A, right, into probability of A divided by probability of A intersection B, right? So that's the Bayes' theorem. So in this case, let's start with the first one, prevalence of fraudulent transactions. So what is probability of a fraudulent transaction? Probability of fraudulent transaction is 1 by 1000, right? So which is 1 by 1000. This is nothing but 0.001. This is the probability of a fraudulent transaction, probability of a fraud, right? And what is probability of tested positive, right? Given that it is a fraudulent transaction. So we know that it's a fraudulent transaction. And probability that the system has correctly identified it. Probability of tested positive given that it's a fraudulent transaction, right? What is the value that they have given there? It is 99%, 0.99, right? And we have also one more data point, probability of false positive. That is probability that it is tested positive given that it is not a fraudulent transaction, right? This is nothing but 1%, 0.01, right? So these are the three data points that we have. Now, simply can you use the Bayes' theorem and then calculate the probability that the transaction is actually fraudulent. So what are we calculating? Probability that the transaction is actually fraudulent, right? What is actually fraudulent in this case? So transaction is given that it is potential, probability that it is actually fraudulent, probability that it is F given that it is flagged as positive. Probability that it is actually fraudulent given that it is true positive, it is flagged or identified as positive or fraudulent by the system, right? So this is what we are calculating. So we can use the simple Bayes' theorem. Can someone quickly do the calculations and punch in the answer? We are almost there. Okay, I'll give another 10 seconds for the answer for somebody to, quickly key in the answer. I think we will also introduce some kind of prizes for getting the right answers, right? So that will elicit more responses, I think. Okay, so let me have a quick look at the chat. I don't see any answers. Let's quickly go to solving the puzzle. Okay, what is the given information? I've already told you about probability of fraud is 0.001. Probability of tested positive given fraud is 0.99. Probability of tested positive given that it is not a fraud, right? It's 0.01. So Bayes' theorem says that probability that it is fraud, given that it is tested positive, the AI system has come back and told you, look, it's a fraudulent transaction. But we cannot believe the AI system, right? We have to actually see whether it is really fraud or not. Probability that it is actually fraud, given that it is tested positive or flagged as fraudulent by the AI system, will be you apply the Bayes' theorem formula. And the moment you do that, put in the calculation numbers, you get 0.09016. That is 9.02%, right? The probability that a transaction is actually fraudulent, given that it has been flagged by the AI system, is approximately 9.02%. Okay, so what does this puzzle say? What does it illustrate? Can somebody key in on the window? What does it illustrate? What does it say about the AI systems? How trustworthy are the AI systems? How reliable are they? Is this a highly accurate system? Let me ask you one question. Is this a highly accurate system, what we are talking about, the AI system? Yes or no? What do you think? The probability of a fraudulent transaction, Lokesh says no. Why do you say so, Lokesh? 1 in 1,000 or 0.001 is still a fairly good way of identifying the fraudulent transaction, right? To me, 0.001, 1 in 1,000 seems to be a good system, right? It's a good system to identify fraudulent transaction, right? However, even if it is a good system, the probability that a transaction is actually fraudulent, given that it has been flagged by the AI system. So when the AI system says, for example, in terms of cancer detection, if it says potentially this could be a cancer, we should not get alarmed, right? It's flagged by the AI system, but we'll have to go back, use Bayes' theorem, and find out that the probability that the transaction is actually fraudulent is still only 9.02%, which is not a great number, right? We cannot, with great level of confidence, if it had shown 90% plus, then we would say probably it's actually fraudulent. But the system says it's only 9.02%. So this illustrates that even very good systems can result in low posterior probability. What is posterior probability? Probability with certain given conditions like true positive rates, false positive rates. Knowing all these conditions, we are recalculating the probability again. That is called the posterior probability. It's a low posterior probability of 9.02%, right? And this is a rare event. Fraudulent transactions is a rare event. Therefore, it highlights the importance of base rates in decision making. So you cannot go with the base rate of 0.001. What is a base rate? For example, RBI comes up with a certain base rate of interest for lending to the banks, right? This is called the repo rate. So banks are free to use the base rate or the repo rate and then charge to the customers interest for the credit that they lend, for the money that they lend accordingly, right? So even in case of base rates, it's very important that even in highly accurate systems, right, the use of base rates for decision making is very important. Okay, now let's move along on the banking sector itself. I will play a small video on how AI is being used in the banking sector.
Artificial intelligence, AI, has revolutionized the banking sector, bringing numerous benefits and transforming traditional banking processes. AI is utilized in various ways to enhance efficiency, improve customer experience, and mitigate risks. One prominent application is the use of chatbots and virtual assistants, powered by AI to provide personalized and instant customer support, assisting with inquiries, account management, and even financial advice. AI algorithms are also leveraged to analyze vast amounts of customer data and detect patterns, enabling banks to offer tailored product recommendations and targeted marketing campaigns. Additionally, AI plays a crucial role in fraud detection and prevention, employing machine learning algorithms to detect anomalies, flag suspicious transactions, and enhance security measures. Overall, the integration of AI in the banking sector empowers institutions to streamline operations, enhance customer engagement, and ensure more robust risk management.
So the main summary of this video is that risk management or risk analytics is heavily using AI-based algorithms, AI-based chatbots in the banking and financial services industry.
Artificial intelligence, AI, has...
Okay, today we will talk about under careers in AI, the specialization 3 and 4, continuing from the first two specializations that we discussed during the last session, right? The third specialization that one could potentially look at in this area is natural language processing. So what is natural language processing or NLP? It has two components. One is the text processing part, and we will also discuss about the applications of NLP, right? Under text processing, essentially what happens in NLP is there are two techniques or two steps to doing this text processing, right? One is called tokenization and the other one is called parsing. Now, can somebody tell me, these are fairly popular terms under NLP. So what is tokenization? Can somebody define that? Let me take a small example. Okay. I'm taking a small expression. 2 plus 3 times 4. It's a very simple expression, right? So when the machine or the computer system does tokenization for this expression, what are the steps involved in tokenization? And then we'll come to parsing. So the system in tokenization would first identify 2, right? So 2 is a numeric value, plus is an additional add operator or additional operator. And yes, Harsh Singh, you are correct. Please type on the window for chat for everybody to see, right? So 3 and 4 are again numeric values. The multiplication factor in between is a multiplication operator. So 2 is a numeric value, plus is an add operator, 3 is again a numeric value, star is a multiplication operator, 4 is again numeric. So this step-by-step breaking down is called tokenization. Very good. So Harsh, can you expand on your comment and then tell me what parsing is? In parsing, the system comes up with what are known as syntax trees, right? Syntax trees. Kaustubh says parsing means taking numbers and assigning them to variables. Yes, partly true. In the first step itself, there's an intermediate step called lexer, right? The lexer does what you are talking about, right? Taking the numbers, assigning them to variables, right? But, there is something called syntax trees that is involved in the parsing part. Can somebody tell me what the syntax tree is all about? The parsing step. So what happens is that first it would take, yes, it's a relationship thing. So in this particular example, what would happen is it would take 3 and then 4. These are linked by a multiplication operator. So a 3 is linked to a 4 by a multiplication operator. So this is the first level of syntax tree, right? And then 2 will be added to the next level of syntax tree, which is, for example, if 3 and 4 multiplied together is 12, and if I represent it by n, so in the next level of syntax tree, what it would do is it would use the plus operator, and then if n is the value that is storing 3 and 4, 12, then this would be the next level of syntax tree, right? So this syntax tree, it will build a tree structure and parse. This is called parsing, right? We look at applications of tokenization, parsing, text processing, etc. Multiple applications in chatbots. Chatbots these days have become ubiquitous, whether it is processing insurance claims or whether it is railway ticketing, airline ticketing. Everywhere chatbots are ubiquitous. And there is also the technique of sentiment analysis that uses NLP extensively. If you take the Twitter and the Facebook feeds, so these feeds are taken and the text is processed to come up with a sentiment of whether it is a happy or a neutral or a sad kind of a sentiment, right? These are fairly well known. If in terms of the industry applications, NLP is used in banking, especially JP Morgan Chase has developed this program called COIN. And what they are doing in this program is they're using NLP to analyze legal documents, right? And extract important data. So instead of, this is automation at its highest level. This is saving 3.6 lakh hours annually, which is huge. And financial institutions are also using NLP algorithms to analyze customer feedback, social media posts, etc. The difference is in real time, this is being done today. For example, let me take the recent example of tax filing, right? You go to your bank and ask them to send you a capital gain statement. And you see that the capital gain statement is not accurate, it has got missing values, etc. So immediately you go to LinkedIn or Twitter and then raise a complaint or complain about the bank. So in real time, there are chatbots which are analyzing the text that is put on these social media posts, and somebody would call you in the next 5 minutes from the bank and apologize, saying that I'm going to send you a revised capital gain statement or whatever, right, before they escalate. This is one application. Similarly, in the insurance industry, in the claims processing system, not only is there automation in terms of extracting key information, when you use chatbots, right? Chatbots are also empowered today to do some level of algorithms, right? Machine learning algorithms are running behind them. For example, if your insurance policy is of value 10 lakhs claim, right? And you've already exhausted the claim and you're put in a new claim via the website or app, the chatbot would proactively come and then give you an alert saying that you have exhausted your limit of 10 lakhs on your health insurance or medical insurance, etc. And therefore, this claim will be flagged as a fraudulent claim, right? In fact, Allstate is using that with their virtual assistant called ABIE, Allstate Business Insurance Expert, right? Which is very, very powerful in providing highly personalized customer care, right? And it also helps you in identifying what's the right coverage for you to take the insurance. Similarly, in the healthcare space, IBM has got Watson for oncology, right? Again, that uses natural language processing. It analyzes your history of medical records. It provides customized treatment recommendations for cancer patients, right? In terms of career opportunities, again, there are entry-level roles, mid-level roles for NLP specific career opportunities. There is an interesting entry-level role, which is ubiquitous across platforms like LinkedIn and Naukri and all kinds of Indeed, those kind of job portals. I've seen this linguistic data analyst, very recent. What a linguistic data analyst does is that this person is not too technical, but comes with a lot of language expertise, right? Expertise in grammar, in syntax. So these people, for example, if they have to translate French to English or a German to English, they know French so thoroughly that they can go and then create what are known as syntactic frameworks, look at the translation that the machine is doing and identify spaces where the translation is not proper, where the translation has lacuna, where these syntactic frameworks have to be inserted, right? So this is again a high in demand job opportunity for people who don't want to too much into coding, but you have a flair for languages. In IIT also, I learned German for 2 semesters in IIT. I'm sure now there are many more options in terms of foreign languages. So if you have a flair for that, this could be a good starting point. Of course, when you grow up in linguistic data analyst, the computational linguist would need more of technical support, right? They would also use certain machine learning based algorithms. Most of them are CNN models, with which you should know how to prompt, how to input the model and get the right kind of syntax for your translation, etc. Right? Before we come back to this slide, let me tell you what the role of an NLP developer would be. Right? When you start off, you should have a deep understanding of text represent. How do you represent text? That is the key there. And how does a machine translate a text from one language to the other? What are the different types of compilers? What are the frameworks and libraries that are available in machine learning? For example, NLTK is one of the libraries we often use. We import NLTK into our Python Jupyter notebook or Microsoft Visual Studio, whatever platform you're using, right? NLTK is one. Spacy, SPACY, Spacy is another library in Python that we extensively use to do this NLP-based work, right? Text classification, clustering, knowledge of Python, Java, or this is also important if you want to be an NLP engineer. Less important if you want to be just a data linguist, right? Problem solving is very important. Coming back to the skills required, like I said, proficiency in NLP libraries is very important. There are inbuilt transformer models like BERT, GPT, and understanding of them is also very important. There are many online courses for NLP. EDX runs one by Microsoft. Coursera has got an NLP course by Deep Learning. Stanford has got one course. At Insights AI, we have an NLP program specifically for about 3 months, focused only to train you as an NLP data linguist or NLP engineer, right? In terms of certifications, besides the certifications that we provide from Insights AI, you also have deep learning NLP developer certificate, Stanford NLP certificate, etc. So as I re-emphasize, it's not about the content of the certification. What we look for on the other side of the table, where I have sat for 20 plus years, is a deeper understanding of concepts and how do you take these frameworks, libraries, etc., and apply them practically, right? That is what we look at. Typical team structure in an NLP project would be, again, like we discussed last time, there will be a data team, an algorithm team, infrastructure or platform team, and an application team. NLP researchers, NLP engineers typically sit within the algorithm or research team. They belong to the cohort of machine learning engineers or the deep learning engineers because the skills are fairly similar, right? I would quickly move on to the computer vision specialization, right? Before I make it more interactive. Meanwhile, let me check if there is any question on the chat window. Okay. Feel free to keep typing in your, share your, queries, clarifications. How do I enter into this industry? What tools do I need to enter into this industry, etc. Computer vision is a very specialized, very interesting area to get into. Right? It primarily consists of 2 parts, the image classification and video analysis. So what is image classification? If you take companies like Infosys, Wipro, TCS, typical IT services, large organizations, their BPO arms have huge teams, right? Running into thousands of people sitting and then doing what is known as annotation analysis, right? They are called annotation analysts. So in image classification, it is like any other machine learning model like a logistic regression or a linear regression. You get tons and tons of historical data, images, and then these BPO executives or analysts, they would sit, annotation analysts would annotate or label all these images as, as a cat or a dog or a car or whatever, right? They would label that. And this historical data of, say, 10 years is taken in and fed into this NLP model, right? And the NLTK library would analyze and the output would be to classify any new image that is fed into the system is classified, and the object is detected with, you must have seen those red color boxes or rectangles, right? Using those boxes, the objects are detected. And as an extension of this, in facial recognition algorithms, again, the same concept is used, right? It's a form of image classification where you have, say, 10,000 images of people. You load these images into the Jupyter notebook or any platform like Visual Studio. And after loading those images, say, for example, these images are 10,000 by 500 pixel, right? So you have 1,000 such images. So for each image, say, you would have a 2-dimension, 1,000 times 50,000 is the pixel size of the image. So what the algorithm that does is, initially using matrices, it would reshape that. So 1,000 by 50,000 image would be translated into 1,000 times 500 times 100 kind of a reshaping of the matrix happens. And then these are iteratively fed into loops, right? And these iterations are what are known as epochs in machine learning lingo, right? So you run through these epochs, And the model would ultimately be measured like any other model using 3-4 parameters. For example, you would start with accuracy. You would draw a chart of accuracy of the model. How accurate is it? Then you would also look at loss curves in the model. And once the model is tested, you would take a typical 80% training data and 20% test data. So out of 10,000 images, 8,000 would be used for training. The remaining 2,000 would be used for testing. And having tested the model, any new data would be classified by the model using this. It's a convolutional neural network, CNN, typically, right? Similarly, for video analysis also, live motion detection happens, right? How does activity recognition happen? Again, historical data, you build the model is a classifier, and it classifies people as animals, as human beings. So how is it useful in the real life? In motion detection, in surveillance systems, right? In large factories or organizations, or even in apartment complexes, right? When you have cameras, these days it's not merely camera that is capturing the images. Simultaneously, we are running computer vision algorithms behind, which would identify suspicious activities if people are moving again and again in the vicinity, right? So that is one application, surveillance. The other application of activity recognition is also in retail outlets like huge malls, where using motion analysis, you would see whether the customers, how many customers are hovering around in the mall, what is the footfall, how long have they spent, what is the parking activity. Even allotment of parking activity in the Western countries is being done by video analytics and CNN-based algorithms. So it's very, very powerful in that sense, right? Again, you have entry-level roles like computer vision engineer, image processing specialist, etc. Right? And these would, in about 3 to 5 years, move on to mid-level roles like senior computer vision scientist, autonomous vehicle engineer, etc. Right? So what does a computer vision engineer do? I would have you, look at the background, the role, the skills, etc. Typically, develop, test, maintain algorithms. CS is preferred, but I think for other leaner roles like image analyst, etc., you don't need a CS degree. Any degree would be sufficient, right? Yes, Kaustubh Datta. Yes, industrial security cameras, surveillance cameras, as we discussed, right? So deep learning algorithms is a very interesting science. So I would encourage all of you, you have the right kind of background, most of you, to take on computer vision kind of engineering roles, right? So in terms of skills required, yes, you should know ANN, CNN, recurrent neural networks. What is an input? How is the input done? What are the hidden layers? The input layer, the hidden layer, and then the output layer. So typically in the hidden layer, you use certain techniques, right? There are techniques such as a ReLU, right? ReLU, right? These are all matrix transformations, basically, right? So convolution layer followed by what is known as max pooling, we call it in the industry. So convolution layer, max pooling, convolution, max pooling. So introduce a series of convolution and max pooling layers, and you would use softmax as activation. This is called either ReLU or softmax. These are typically used as activation to input into these data layers, right? So we also have a computer vision module as part of our AI ML program, right? If you don't want to go through the entire 1.5 year kind of a program, you can choose modules of 3 to 4 months and specialize specifically if you're interested in computer vision module, and we would provide you certification like any of the other institutes like NVIDIA or Coursera. And in terms of a typical team structure, again, there will be a business side, will be a problem owner, project manager would be the overall lead. But specifically when you start off your career or you are in the first 5 years of your career, computer vision engineer would be clubbed along with the machine learning engineer or a data engineer, etc. That's where the starting position would typically belong to as part of a computer vision project. Okay. So since this is the last session, I'm going to stop here and leave the remaining 25 minutes or so, or another half an hour we can spend. I will summarize what we have learned in the 3 sessions through an interactive question answer. Meanwhile, you can also ask me any kind of questions that you have. It could be basic entry-level kind of questions. Am I the right fit for this kind of a career? I don't have the background. What have I learned in the last 3 sessions? What have I missed if I have not attended session 1 and 2? All this will be covered in the last half an hour. Okay. So let me start with the query of what is the size of the job market for AI? Any guesses? Millions of people, Kaustubh, is from a number point of view, right? Number of people who would get to the job market. When I say size, you have to quantify it in terms of dollar value. Right? You should have an idea, a sense of, how, if you read any research report like Gartner research report, you would get this number. A simple Google would also give this number. Lokesh Kumar is, fairly close. Lokesh, roughly, it's a good answer, excellent answer, 100 billion. Any other guesses? Yeah, we have 15 participants, so I would encourage all of you, just give it a shot, right? You may be wrong, but that's okay. At least we will learn. See, most consulting organizations that come to IITs like McKinsey, Accenture Management Consulting, KPMG, all of them would typically ask you this first question that they would ask you is a market estimate question. And the idea there is what is your thought process? How would you come to this size of job market of 100 billion? Or Ajay is saying 1 trillion. Wow. Lokesh, can you just simply key in 2 sentences on how you arrived at that 100 billion? That would be a good, useful exercise for all the youngsters. Okay, good, Lokesh. I think you have you are close. The actual answer is 200 billion, right? And the way one thumb rule to arrive at is that, like Lokesh said, he read it somewhere, right? So the report could be outdated. In 2020, probably it would have been 100 billion. You should look at the CAGR, or the compounded annual growth rate of the industry, and say it is about 8%, right? A CAGR of 8% would double in about 5 years. So a 2019 data of 100 billion, if you use it at the base, by 2024, which is current, it would come to about 200 billion. That is one approximate way of answering such questions in consulting interviews. Okay. Next question. Which industries employ AI engineers the most? This is a sitter. Kaustubh Gupta is fintech, edtech. Shubham says software. Ajay, BFSI. Good answers. Yes. Yeah, Shubham, correct. Software also. IT services companies are heavily recruiting in this place. So top 3. Where is the maximum recruitment happening for AI engineers today? Among which companies? Excellent answer by Lokesh. Again, tech giants in software services, right? Your Google, the Microsoft, Adobe, all these technology giants. Then followed by BFSI, basically fintechs, right? Then followed by, what is the third? What is the third? Quick answer. We don't have too much, time. Again, good answer by Lokesh. Healthcare, right? No, your guess is absolutely right, right? That's the third. Technology, healthcare, and finance in that order. In fact, healthcare has overtaken finance. And why would that be? Any answer? Why not an oil and gas? Why not a textile machinery? Why not a chemical industry? Quick answer. Cost of risk, required accuracy, Harsh says. Okay. What is the risk in employing AI algorithms in, say, a chemical industry? I don't see any risk. And accuracy also, you would get the required accuracy. What is the key or what is common between financial services and healthcare? Absolutely, bang on, Harsh, right? Look at the amount of transactional data that it generates on a daily basis, right? Compared to a B2B kind of a scenario like a chemical industry, a Reliance, or a tire company like MRF, right? What kind of data, though the machines also generate sensor and actuator data there. But then, like Ajay says, the user base is so huge in B2C. B2C is very amenable here, right? As retail customers in banking, in finance, as number of patients in the healthcare industry move through the primary, secondary, and tertiary care that is available, the amount of transactions that are available is huge. Therefore, AI is most amenable there. Very good answer, right? Let's move on to the next question. Which AI techniques have the maximum demand? So if you are a youngster with less than 5 years of experience, what in this ocean of AI, what techniques should I focus on? Data science is not a technique, Ajay. It's a subject. Okay, generative AI is broad, LLM is broad. When I say techniques, I mean the algorithms. We have covered all this in the last 2 sessions plus this session. Good answer, machine learning. Within machine learning, what techniques? Machine learning is again a broad module, right? What specific techniques? Transformers is correct, good answer. What algorithms? If I learn these 3 techniques in an interview, I'm specifically focusing these sessions on the 0 to 10 years experienced people and also the fresh graduates, right, from first year of engineering who have joined the session, right? 2025, 26, 27, 28 batches also. Harsh has an excellent answer. Neural networks is one of the things. Within neural networks, what? Which techniques have the maximum demand? I will only learn A, B, C thoroughly. Let me tell you one very good technique in cracking interviews, right? You don't need to know everything, right? They are not looking for it. But if you raise your hand upfront and then say, I will only talk about neural networks, I know that the best, the interviewers will be more than happy to test your knowledge of neural networks. So my strong suggestion to all of you is have a broad idea of the overall techniques, but focus on 1, 2, 3 techniques. Classification techniques. Yeah, so what are the classification techniques we have learned, Harsh? What are the classification techniques? When we talk of classification, the first thing that comes up is categorization or customer segmentation, clustering. So what is the technique used for clustering? Does anyone remember from their math days? M1, M2, M3, M4. What algorithm is used? Basic algorithm. Yes, good answer. So the algorithm that is used is K-means, right? K-means algorithm. So this is what is known as unsupervised learning, right? You don't know the answer upfront when you are looking at a market and identifying the customer segments. You don't know upfront what are the answers. So you kind of start somewhere randomly and then you start aggregating data points around that, looking at the distances between these data points and then clustering these data points into K-means. If you want to come up with 5 customer segments, K will be 5 and the K-means algorithm will give the 5 customer segments. So what are the techniques we use there even in classification? Machine learning, deep learning, natural language processing, computer vision. These are all the techniques that are in huge demand, right? How does one go about getting an AI job? I'm in another industry. I'm in a bank. I'm in a manufacturing industry. I am in a retail company. So what do I do to get an AI job? Mind you, you can get an AI job within the industry also. You don't need to jump from your domain to a software company or so. Yes, good approach. Harsh, courses, online projects to start with. Yes. And what else? What about the current context? What are we doing currently? What is the team of Shyamla and Rakesh and Nishani? What are they doing? Yeah, connect with alumni. Very good answer. Networking, right? Networking is key in getting an AI job, right? So many people have started AI-based services. We run a training company, but the amount of every year from IIT Madras itself, I get calls saying that 20% of the current students in final year have not yet been placed. Can you help us out with internships, with jobs, etc. Right? So obviously, on a first come, first serve basis, if you write to me, I would prioritize that resume. It's a FIFO model, first in, first out. So the one who takes the initiative, right, will get, you need not be the most intelligent or you need not have the highest CGPA. Again, on CGPAs, I will tell you when we are shortlisting candidates, we would take the higher CGPA candidate, all things being equal. Because in IIT, that's the only differentiator between one and the other is the CGPA. So it's always important to have a good CGPA. That said, I would say that in the industry, to get a job, right, the cutoff or the criteria for taking an employment is only to have 60% marks or 6.0 CGPA. That's all is needed. Once you spend your time usefully on learning a module or something for entry to a company, don't get into the 4-point or 5-pointer because the cutoffs for your graduation are also very strict. 60% is usual. Some companies relax it to even 50%, right? If you show great aptitude. But I would say why even get there, right? Try to cross off the 60%. 60% is all that is required. So unless you are applying for masters and then doing research, CGPA will only be useful at the campus level where you will be differentiated based on CGPA on one resume to other for shortlisting. Beyond that, CGPA will only help you so much, right? Certification, as Harsh said, is the first starting point. Then networking through not just alumni networks, network through online forums like Kaggle, and GitHub is another very powerful medium. You should have a GitHub. First question you ask, do you have a GitHub profile? Can I look at your GitHub profile? So even before we interview candidates, we do a lot of homework, right? The homework happens from either side for shortlisting, even for interviewing, because the time that the senior executives spend on recruitment is very, very premium. So you should do networking online also, and job portals. Obviously, Indeed is very good. Age-old Naukri.com, right? I think IIT Madras Alumni Association also has a job portal. So it's worth looking at that job portal also. So that's the next question. What are the forums where one could meet AI professionals and seek their help? LinkedIn is more, yes, it is a platform, but it's more for posts, and the focus is more on exchanging information. Job posting also is done. It's for jobs and sharing information. How do you meet AI professionals? How do you seek their help? LinkedIn is definitely good. Yeah, AI conferences and meetups are excellent, right? So you have so many online. Every week I am flooded in my inbox with AI conferences, right? Everybody worth its salt is coming up with an AI conference. And I would encourage you guys also, as a student, the leeway that you have is huge. You can say, I am going to organize an AI conference. And the good thing that you have, if you're still in the campuses, you have great infrastructure to host these AI conferences in person. So if you are in the final year or you have just passed out and you are based in Chennai, one of the tips that I can give you is get in touch with the Alumni Association and tell them that I want to host an AI conference, a weekend AI conference, Saturday, Sunday in the campus. Because once you move out of Chennai, let me tell you, the amount that you have to pay for space will be humongous, right? Whether it is a hotel or, co-working spaces, conference rooms. The rates are very high and young students won't be able to afford. But the good thing that you have is in campus, you have so much of space. And if you get in touch with the Alumni Association, they will facilitate organizing conferences in-house, right? Provided you demonstrate that initiative and see value there. Kaggle is a very good forum. Reddit is another forum. And like one of you said, LinkedIn is also a forum where you could meet AI professionals and you can straight away write. I would also encourage you to subscribe to, don't, be cringy or don't think twice about spending on subscribing to premium LinkedIn and all that. You will be able to recover that money within no time. In fact, I made that mistake, when I was submitting the BTech project, right? I didn't know the difference between Microsoft Word and another thing called, another word was there. There was simple word from some other company, right? So I had opted for the other word because one of my friends had that word loaded on his computer and I had keyed in my entire BTech project in that. And when I started taking printout at that Gurunath, that fellow said, sir, why did you do this? Why don't you pay me? I'll do the whole, he was using it as an opportunity to make some money from me. He said, I'll retype the whole thing on Microsoft Word. I said, it's okay, not required, use the word star or whatever. And I submitted my project in WordStar. But the disadvantage is that it doesn't have as many features of bold, italicizing, making it very, very jazzy as Microsoft Word used to have, right? Of course, today, all the platforms have all these decoration or making it jazzy kind of designer elements. But during our time, that also made a difference. I felt you have to make it extreme. You should not, think twice about spending additional money, right? Another 500,000 rupees is simply okay. What are the websites to visit regularly to know about AI news, AI products, etc.? Quickly, please, we have the last 10 minutes. So if you can type fast, that will help. It will benefit a lot of others also. I only see participation mainly from Kaustubh Gupta, Harsh Singh, Shubham, Lokesh, right? I want others also. There are 15 people in the forum. So I want others also to come quickly, those who have not participated so far. This is a good opportunity, right? To basically express yourself, right? So what are the websites to visit regularly to know more about AI news, AI products, AI technology, etc.? What do you usually refer to? Right? During my first 0 to 5 years of experience, I used to regularly go online and read Business 2.0, right? Then I used to read, sitting in Chennai, I used to read San Jose Mercury News, because San Jose Mercury News.com will give you all the happenings in the Silicon Valley. And even today, that Silicon Valley hub from San Francisco to San Jose, that is the happening place when it comes to AI, OpenAI, ChatGPT, everything. I went for an IIT Bombay Alumni Association meet about a couple of months back in Bangalore. And one of the founders of AI company there had visited San Francisco, and he was saying, see, if you want Gen AI, you go to San Francisco, because they are, for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, they are eating only Gen AI, right? So you should connect to such places. What are the websites? In today's world, you can easily access all the happenings via websites. Okay, Microsoft AI is a good platform. Specific websites, Kaustubh? Some websites are only for news, some for applications in the industry, some for technology. When I give the answer, most of you would have heard about these. See, towards data science on medium.com is something that I often refer, right? That's again, I think using a Gmail ID, you can log in free into that platform. Analytics Vidya is another thing where a lot of people blog and write in-depth articles, tutorials. In terms of industry news, etc., I use websites like VentureBeat, TechCrunch. MIT Technology Review is another great place for news, right? Let's focus on India, because we are now talking of Make in Bharat and the India story, right? So what are the major AI products from India? IITM Research Park itself would have come up with so many products, right? It's only a stone's throw away. Last time I was there during the reunion, we went via a back gate. And I think it's also walkable, that IITM Research Park is walkable from the campus through the back gate. Any quick answers? Let me see how many of you recognize these products. Haptic. Haptic is a conversational AI platform for enterprises, right? Similarly, there was another AI platform for insurance companies, claims, etc., that Ratan Tata himself had invested in, right? Don't know whether it's still in vogue. But what do these conversational platforms do? So you would have chatbots, and typically, if you have an insurance policy, you go there, you give your date of birth or your Aadhaar number or whatever, and it will fetch the data for you. You will verify. And after verification, it would give you your current whatever, life insurance, your value is such and such, your due date for the next premium is so and so. Do you want to do the payment now? How can I help you make the payment? Do you want to know about the current status of your claim? So these are all AI platforms in banking, financial services, etc., right? In various industries, like in Arya.ai, right? Other than Haptic, Haptic does all these banking and financial services transactions, right? Chatbots, conversational AI platforms. In Arya, it is more B2B. Arya.ai has got between industry. If I have to order spare parts in the industry, if I want to know the shelf life, for example, in my car battery, right? If I'm using an app to monitor my car battery and I'm having a long drive, I don't want my car battery slow or weak. I don't want to take any risk. I want to replace the battery. So I can have a conversational platform, which is from the automobile industry. And this platform would assess the level of the car battery and then give a go, no go. Immediately replace the battery, or say it's not necessary to replace the battery, or have a backup, whatever, right? This is the conversational AI platform, right? Last question. What are the popular multinational product companies developing AI-based products? This should be an easy sitter, at least for people who are applying for jobs. And most of these companies, I'm sure, would be visiting the IIT campuses. Let's extend the session. Ajay, thanks, Ajay. What are the popular multinational product companies? Let's extend the session by 5 minutes and let me see if there are interesting answers, right? Obviously, Google, IBM, Microsoft, Amazon, these are the popular companies, and I'm sure all of them would be visiting the campus. So what are the products they are developing? Google has come up with TensorFlow. And like I was mentioning before, whether it is image processing, face recognition, you import the TensorFlow library, right? You import the TensorFlow library and NLTK library, Spacey library. So these are all from Google. Then if you have watched the Google search algorithm, interestingly, over the last couple of months, I've seen that it's no longer the old proprietary algorithm, search algorithms of Google, right? They have all moved to AI driven. So it clearly says the first search result that you get is AI driven, and subsequent to the search result, you would have the normal old search algorithm. So they are still using both, but they are experimenting with a caveat that the AI driven search algorithms can only be accurate so much, right? That caveat is already given. So how many of you have noticed this change in the Google search? Type yes. Why? In the recent past. Of course, Microsoft is using its Bing, in its Bing browser, it's using the Copilot anyways. They have shifted, but Google is something that only in the last couple of months I've seen them switch to the AI-driven algorithm. How many of you have observed? I just wanted, out of 16, I want to take a count. Yes, Gemini was there in Google Keynote. Yeah, can you please quickly type a Y or a N? Let me take a quick survey. And meanwhile, Rakesh, are you on the call?
I'm on the call.
Yeah, can you please key in the feedback form onto the chat window, please?
I'll do.
Yeah. So in the last 5 to 10 minutes, if you have any further questions, I'm happy to take them. But otherwise, request all of you to provide your feedback on the form, that link that Rakesh would be sharing on the chat window. Thanks, SK, for confirming. Thanks, Kaustup, for confirming. At least 2 people have seen AI-based search-driven algorithms. IBM, we have seen Watson being used in the cancer detection. Microsoft, heavily into AI services, right? Azure AI, Cortana is now built in with AI. The Bing browser is all flooded with, you can make travel itineraries, you can write stories. Dr. Vasudevan, thank you. Vijay, thank you. Yeah, all of you have seen the shift in use of AI search algorithms, right? Rakesh has shared the feedback form, so please click on that link and spend about 2 minutes. Can you please, I would request everybody to mute themselves. I'm muting proactively. So please, if you have anything to say, you can request Rakesh and we'll open the chat for you to do the audio. So these are some of the popular companies which are using AI. So we have already discussed about our company Insights AI. I'm just keeping this slide so that in case you have any kind of doubts, clarifications, etc., feel free to email at info@insights-ai.co. One of my team members would respond to you, and any kind of queries on courses or job placements, etc., right? We'll be happy to help you get there. But this is one area where we are also creating a lot of social impact. Currently, I am working on doing a generative AI chat GPT based tool, right? And what this tool does is in the space of inclusion, right? Based on a prompt, neurodiverse kids can generate stories. See, what happens in case of neurodiverse children is that they will be learning things more as simple things like how to cross a road, or how to even activities of daily living, like how to take bath, how to brush your teeth, etc. Right? What this chat GPT or Gen AI solution does is that based on the prompts, for example, if the kid is, say, Archana, and Archana wants to she wants a story in a wildlife sanctuary setting, right? So she would give a prompt saying Archana and her soft tiger toy, and then the Gen AI tool. So what is the setting? Is it a zoo? Is it a wildlife sanctuary? Is it at home? And you say it's a wildlife sanctuary. Then it would say, depending on the location, it would say, is it Bandipur or is it Mudumalai or whatever? And then it would again come up ultimately with a cartoon or a story when you upload the photo of the child. When you upload the photo of the child, the caricature would transform into a reflection of the child, and this will enable the child to learn skills much more effectively, right? So ChatGPTs and Gen AI tools especially are very, very useful in life skills as well, right? I would pause here, and then besides the feedback form, I would also like to listen to comments from your side over the last 3 sessions. Any questions on last 3 sessions? Good question from Srinivasan. What to expect in the coming months and years? Disruptive changes? Yes. I have covered that in my session 1 partly, but I'll be happy to rephrase. See, the future is going to be exciting, right? The winners in the future will be the ones who have creative thinking, who would know how to put the right prompts, who would know how to leverage these tools, right? 2024 to 27, people like software engineers who would do regular kind of coding, who have learned, coding skills or programming languages the rote way, ChatGPT or Gen AI tools are going to completely replace. Already we are seeing in the market that all the big technology companies are laying off left, right, and center of people who have basic skills, right? So if you have looked at my talks on the last three sessions, right, there's a lot of effort that has gone into creating these programs, right? Therefore, the changes are going to be, disruption is going to be the norm. And much like people were scared when search engines came in the early 2000s, right? My suggestion is not to embrace this AI, right? Embrace this and continue to learn, because what we should know clearly in AI is you should know the concepts very, very thoroughly, right? The concepts that we covered, like computer vision, natural language processing, CNNs, ANNs, differences between RNNs, because application of these techniques is much, much more important than learning how to code, right? Because you can generate code with low code very easily today, right? My position on open source versus proprietary is that just like your Android versus, Apple, right? It's the same thing. Both will be there to stay. Both will compete with each other, right? But I would go more with the open source things, because in terms of embracing and evangelizing generative AI tools, see, this is going to be a volume game. So everybody, they will have no choice but to embrace AI in the coming days, right? If you have visited airports recently, airports like Bangalore, Chennai, etc., right? The DigiLocker, or I forget, then there is one app, right? DigiYatra. And the DigiYatra is, it's a green channel, you can zoom in. So how is it achieving all these things, right? It's achieving through AI only, right? And therefore, the easy way to embrace this would be to go with open source, low cost, at cheaper rates, without spending any money. You can experience these Gen AI tools. And then once you get hooked on to them, then you can compare, right? Proprietary implementation of data models would be more on the B2B front, is my opinion, right? Industrial applications, sensor, actuator related data, where high level of accuracy is required, guaranteed. So industries will not be relying mostly on use cases where the guaranteed results are not there, right? So proprietary would be there, whereas OpenAI is here to stay for the more on the retail front. Thanks, Srinivas and Ramakrishnan, for that question. We would have last couple of minutes. I can take one additional question. We are starting our next batch on August 25th. Typically, we run batches on weekends, 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. Indian Standard Time, where we would cover hands-on all the concepts that, I'll be handling the programs. And we have kept it that time because since we are a global company, we are able to cater to the daytimes in the US, both West Coast and East Coast during the daytime, and then the nighttime in India, and also parts of daytime in parts of Europe. So that's the most convenient time for us. Yes, Srinivasan. Thanks. Yes, digital public infrastructure. Yeah, Digi. Other than DigiYatra, and also DigiLocker is another thing. Yes, UPI Aadhaar. I've seen that most of the exam results, like CBSE board exams and ICSE board exams, they are all available in an app called DigiLocker now. So no longer, you will have to run from pillar to post to get your mark certificates or your transfer certificates. All of them are available at the click of a button, which used to be such a big pain when we were in school, right? If there's one spelling mistake, I distinctly remember there was a girl in our school, her name was Lakshmi, and father's name was Narayanan, right? So Lakshmi space Narayanan, but the board had combined it into Lakshmi Narayanan, and her gender was given as male. And she had a very tough time running from pillar to post to change that space in between, right? So these are some of the funny things that keep happening. But I think in today's world, those will be less of a problem. If there are no further questions, it has been fantastic 3 weekends of interacting with all of you. I'm available at these numbers, at this email ID. You can look at our website and feel free to reach out to me if you need any further information. Thanks again to the IITMAA, the Alumni Association team, Rakesh, Nishani, Shamla, and others for giving me an opportunity. There was another request from the early 70s batch, which I will be discussing with Rakesh later, and most likely we would do that October upwards. Thanks again to all the participants, and have a great Sunday of whatever is of the weekend of whatever is remaining, and look forward to interacting with some of you in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Venkat. I mean, it has been great actually. I mean, everyone enjoyed the session and so many questions, and it has been exceptional actually. And I will share your details with all the attendees and the registered people along with the recording. And I hope, I will ask them to get in touch with you if they have any more queries directly. And thank you so much for this, and looking forward to working with you in the near future also.
Thanks, Rakesh. Thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you so much.